Heron versus egret. What's the difference between these two leggy, long-necked, elegant birds? If you see a tall, long-necked bird stalking along a lakeshore, it's probably a heron or an egret. But which one have you seen? And what's the difference between them? So let us take a look. Before we look at the differences between herons and egrets, there's an important question to answer. What do we mean when we say heron? The name heron can be used to describe any member of the family or deity, a large group of long-legged, long-necked birds typically found around water. This includes the birds we usually refer to as herons, egrets, and bitterns. So all egrets are herons, but not all herons are egrets. When we talk about herons in this article, we're talking specifically about the gray heron, Ardea cinerea. How to tell the difference between an egret and a heron? There's a very easy way to tell an egret from a heron. In the UK at least, egrets are bright white. The gray heron, as the name suggests, is mostly gray. It's a big, bulky bird with incredibly long legs that range from dark gray to pink or yellow. It has a gray back, with paler underparts and a long, gray or white neck. The head is white, with characteristic black markings on the sides of the crown that extend back into a long, thin crest. The beak is large and dagger-like, turning from grayish-yellow to more orange in spring. If you see a white bird with long legs, a long neck, and a sharp beak, it's almost certainly an egret. But which egret is it? Until recently, seeing any egret in the UK was a major rarity. But in the last few decades, 3 different species have moved north from continental Europe and started breeding here. The little egret arrived first, followed by the cattle egret and great white egret. How to recognize and identify different egrets? The great white egret, Ardea alba, unsurprisingly, is a large white bird. It's about the same size as a gray heron, but slimmer and more elegant. It has an incredibly long neck, which is often kinked into an S shape. Its beak is slenderer than a heron's and is bright yellow, though it turns black for a few weeks in the breeding season. Its feet and lower legs are dark, but the upper legs can be paler. The little egret, Egrets garzetta, is also bright white, but it's about half the size of a gray heron. Although it has a very long neck, when it's not hunting it can hunker down and appear to have almost no neck at all. It has a dark beak and legs, varying from dull green to black. Its feet are yellow, a distinctive feature if they're not hidden by grass, mud, or underwater. In the summer, it develops 2 long, elegant white plumes from the back of its head. The cattle egret, Bubolchus ibis, is the smallest and stockiest of our 3 egrets. It has a much shorter neck and legs than a little egret, giving it a more compact appearance. Its beak is also shorter and stubbier. For most of the year the beak is yellow, but it turns pink in the breeding season. Like the other egrets, it has white feathers, but during the breeding season it shows an ochre or orange wash to the feathers on the crown, breast and back. Traces of this color can remain well beyond the breeding season. Why do little egrets have yellow feet? The little egret is a type of heron. The yellow or greenish-yellow feet of the little egret are characteristic of this small heron, the coloration developing while the young are still in the nest. Little egrets usually feed in fairly shallow water, moving forward with slow and deliberate steps, interspersed with frequent halts. It is during these stops that an egret may extend one leg forward and, with a rapid vibrating motion, stir up the muddy or vegetated bottom of the water in which it is hunting. This action disturbs hidden prey, such as small fish, amphibians or invertebrates, flushing them into the open where the sharp-eyed bird can strike at them. It is thought that the yellow feet aid this process, being more obvious to potential prey than all dark feet would be in this sediment-filled water. The little egret is the only European heron to specialize in small prey, typically no more than a couple of inches in length, which require a more active approach to hunting than seen in our other heron species. Where to find egrets and herons? Gray herons can be found throughout most of the British Isles, usually close to water, including rivers, lakes, ditches and flooded fields. They'll even hunt in rock pools on the coast. Great white egrets and little egrets have similar tastes in habitat to gray herons and are often found on wetlands and marshes. Little egrets are particularly fond of estuaries. Cattle egrets are more likely to be found away from water than the other species. They often feed in fields, following cows and horses around. In other parts of the world, where they're more common, they're regularly found in large groups. Here they're found on their own, in pairs or sometimes in small groups. Herons and all three egrets nest in colonies, often in waterside trees. It's not unusual to find different species nesting together in a colony. Outside of the breeding season, they'll also form communal roosts for the night. How do egrets and herons hunt for food? Gray herons and great white egrets share a similar style when it comes to fishing. You'll often see them standing still for long periods, or stalking slowly with carefully placed steps, staring intently at the water below them. Suddenly, they'll strike, plunging their beak into the water to catch an unsuspecting fish. Little egrets prefer a different approach. They walk slowly through the shallows, regularly pausing to stretch one leg forward and rapidly waggle it. This movement disturbs the floor and flushes out small fish and other aquatic creatures, which the egret can then catch. Their bright yellow feet are thought to help disturb prey. As mentioned above, cattle egrets are often found away from water, in fields of livestock. You'll see them following the grazing mammals, feeding on insects and other small animals they disturb. They stroll along behind the grazers, sometimes breaking into a short run when they spot prey. Could anything else be mistaken for a heron or egret? There is another big white bird that is becoming an increasingly common sight in parts of the UK, the spoonbill. As the name suggests, this bird's most distinctive feature is its long, black beak which broadens at the end like a spoon or spatula. Snoozing spoonbills hide their beak in their feathers, but their posture still gives them away. Spoonbills adopt a fairly horizontal posture when resting, more like a goose, whilst egrets are typically rigid and upright at rest. A flying spoonbill can be recognized by its outstretched neck. Egrets hunch their neck up in flight. Here are 11 striking facts about great blue herons. This tall water bird with its dagger-like bill can be found all across North America. 1. How big are great blue herons? Standing at 91 to 137 centimeters with a wingspan of 167 to 201 centimeters, great blue herons only weigh between 1.82 to 3.6 kilogram. 2. What are great blue herons related to? The great blue heron is very closely related to the gray heron. The gray heron has similar plumage but has a gray neck and lacks the brown flanks of the great blue heron. The gray heron is also a smaller bird weighing between 1.02 to 2.08 kilogram. 3. What do great blue herons eat? Great blue herons will eat almost anything within striking distance of their long beak. While fish makes up a majority of their diet, these birds stalk everything from insects to small mammals. 4. How do great blue herons catch their prey? Great blue herons are excellent fishers. These birds can be spotted around shorelines and in shallow marshes, either slowly wading through the water or waiting patiently for their prey. Once their next meal is spotted, they will stretch out their long neck and freeze in place. When the moment is right, they strike with their blade-like bill. 5. Where do great blue herons live? These birds can survive and be found in almost any wetland habitat in North America. They are rarely found far from water. Gray herons can be found in similar habitats, but have also adapted to nesting in cities where space is available. 6. Where do great blue herons nest? While some nests are built on the ground near a water's edge, great blue herons mostly nest in colonies in trees near water. These colonies are called heronries. These nests can be 100 or more feet off the ground and can range from 5 to 500 nests per colony. 7. How do great blue herons stay clean after eating? Great blue herons have specialized feathers on their chest that will grow continuously and fray into a powder. This powder can be used to help clean off fish slime. 8. How do great blue herons fly? These birds fly with their neck tucked against their body in a S shape. Herons are sometimes mislabeled as cranes, which fly with their necks outstretched. 10. How do great blue herons breed? Both parents help with incubating the eggs. Incubation takes about 4 weeks, and with taking care of the nestlings. Young herons will fledge at around 2 months. 11. How do great blue herons keep cool in hot weather? On hot days, a great blue heron can be spotted with drooped wings and an open beak. The bird will be fluttering their throat muscles to increase evaporation, an action called gular fluttering, an avian version of panting. The drooped wings allow airflow to help remove excess heat.